Deuteronomy 4, Israel urged to obey God's laws. Now, O Israel, listen and pay attention to the statutes and the judgments which I am teaching you to do, so that you may live and go in and take possession of the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You shall not add to the word which I am commanding you, nor take away from it, so that you keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did for all the men who followed and participated in the worship of Baal. The Lord your God destroyed them from among you. But you who held tightly to the Lord your God are alive today. Every one of you. You're still alive. You're still here. Look, I have taught you statutes and judgments, just as the Lord your God has commanded me, so that you may do them in the land which you are entering to possess. So keep and do them, for that is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the peoples who will hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. Okay, so right there, that keyword. So keep and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the people. I think of like God's word, like how are we to be a light to people around us? Like, okay, how are we to do that? How are people able to see Jesus in us? If we do and keep, because we have that wisdom and understanding. So inside of all the people around us, because why? When they hear all these statutes, they say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding nation. For what great nation is there that has a God so near to it as the Lord our God whenever we call on him? Or what great nation has statutes and judgments so righteous as this whole law which I'm placing before you today? So like how important, like when you're going through things and you're standing firm and you're staying, you know what, I trust God. It's okay. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to falter. Like people will look at it as, yeah, but you don't realize how bad the economy is. Yeah, but look at how bad the country is being run right now. Look at what law they're passing through. Look at this. You just don't even know. You're like naive. You don't even think about those things. And you know what? That's why. Well, yes, thank goodness that's why. I feel like that's a trait, myself personally, I feel like for a long time in my life, I feel like I was very naive to a lot of things. But looking back at it, being naive, I wasn't naive. I knew what was going on. I knew what was going on around. But like, I sought God no matter what. Then I started listening to all those other voices around. I started listening to the truth of the world, the truth, the reality of things. And I started thinking, well, maybe. And I started doubting that faith. And I saw myself fall. Not fall away from God, but just fall and not keep my focus. And then it was bad. It was bad. So I had to get myself back up to that place where I have that trusting, that just unashamed trusting, not even thinking, not even worrying, just trusting God blindly. But there's many days where the enemy just comes and he's like, yeah, but, and you'll start putting things in my head, or do this or do that. And it just gets your focus off real quick. So it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to keep that focus no matter what, because that's the witness to the world. Like, yeah, I trust God. God's going to take care of it. And God does. That's the beautiful thing of it. That's what we want to have. It says, only pay attention and watch yourselves closely so that you don't forget the things which your eyes have seen, and they do not depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your grandchildren, putting them on their hearts and minds and their hearts, penetrating their hearts with these truths. Especially the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when the Lord said to me, assemble the people to me, and I will let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days they live in the land, so that you may teach their children. You approached and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the very heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and thick gloom. Then the Lord spoke to you from the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but you saw no form. There was only a voice. So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to follow, the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. The Lord commanded me at that time to teach you the statutes and judgments, so that you might do to them in the land which you are going to possess. So pay attention and watch. Pay attention and watch yourselves carefully, for you did not see any form of God on that day. The Lord spoke to you at Horeb from the midst of fire, so that you do not act corruptly and make for yourselves a carved or sculpted image, to worship in the form of a figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or in the winged bird that flies in the sky, the likeness of anything that crawls in the ground, or any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And beware that you do not raise your eyes toward heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, and let yourselves be led astray and worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has allotted to all the people under the whole heavens. But the Lord has taken you and brought you out of the iron burn us out of Egypt to be people for his own possession as this day. Now the Lord was angry with me at the waters of Meribah because of you. He swore that I would not cross the Jordan and that I would not enter the good land which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. I'm going to die in this land. I'm not going to cross the Jordan, but you shall cross over and take possession of this good land. So be on your guard and watch yourselves that you do not forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he has made with you, because you'll start forgetting, and you're going to start making yourself a carved or sculpted image in your mind in the form of anything with the Lord your God is forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire. He is a jealous God, demanding what is rightfully and uniquely his. When you become the father of children and grandchildren and have grown old in the land, then if you corrupt yourselves by making a carved or sculpted image in the form of anything for the purpose of worship and do evil things in the sight of the Lord your God, provoking him to anger, I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you today that you will soon utterly perish from this land which you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You shall not live long on it, but will be utterly destroyed. The Lord will scatter and disperse you among the peoples, and you will be left few in the numbers among the nations where the Lord drives you. And there you will serve false and foreign gods, the work of human hands, lifeless images of wood and stone, which neither see nor hear, nor eat nor smell, the offerings of food given to them. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search for him with all your heart and all your soul. When you are in distress and tribulation, all these things come on you in the latter days, you will return to the Lord your God and listen to his voice. For the Lord your God is merciful and compassionate. He's not going to leave you, right? He's not, no matter what. He will not fail you nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant with your fathers, which he swore to them. Indeed, ask now about the days that are past, which you were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heaven to the other, has anything been done like this great thing, or has anything been heard like this? Did any people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of fire as you heard and still live? Or has any man-made God ever tried to go and take for himself a nation from within another nation by trials, by signs and wonders, by war, and by a mighty hand, and by an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, as the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? It was shown to you so that you might have personal knowledge and comprehend the Lord is God, and there is no other besides you. Isn't that pretty cool? Doesn't God show us so many things in life? It was shown to you so that you can know the truth. It was read to you so that you can follow the word. I showed it to you in a sermon so that you can know the truth. I told this person to tell you this, and they spoke those words through an email, through words, through a prayer, so that you would know that. Isn't that pretty cool that God will want those things known to us? Out of the heavens, he let you hear his voice to discipline and admonish you. And on earth, he let you see his great fire, and you heard his words from the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, he chose their descendants who followed them and brought you from Egypt and his presence with his great and awesome power, dispossessing and driving out from before your nations, greater and mightier than you, to bring you in and give you their land as inheritance, as is this day. Therefore, know and understand today, and take it to your heart, that the Lord is God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is no other. So you shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I am commanding you today, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, so that you may live long on the land which the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities of refuge beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, so that someone who committed manslaughter could flee there. That is, a person who killed his neighbor unintentionally and without previously having hostility toward him, and that by escaping to one of these cities he might claim the right of asylum and save his life. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau for the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan and Bashan for the Manassites. This is the law which Moses placed before the sons of Israel. These are the testimonies, the legal provisions, and the statutes and the judgments which Moses spoke to the sons of Israel when they came out of Egypt, beyond the Jordan in the valley, opposite of Beth Peor, in the land of the Sihon king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon, whom Moses and the sons of Israel defeated when he came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites, who reigned across the Jordan to the east, from Aor, which is on the east, the edge of the valley of the river of Arnon, as far as Mount Sion, with all the Arab, the desert lowlands, across the Jordan to the east, even as far as the sea of the Dead Sea, and the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. This is good. Reading these chapters is a great reminder. You can so relate to this in your own daily life. So this is your daily Bible chapter reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.